Glad to have you back. Yes, the show is still Political Spectrum, reaching you live from the beautiful hills of Ibiakuran. And of course, in Akwa Ibom State, there seems to be some sort of political instability or uncertainty following the dismissal of Honorable Engineer Femi Yarayen, from his duties and as the chief of staff of the governor. And yes, a lot of people, it came to them as a surprise, which is why we would need to find out at some point what went wrong. So we will be on call with Mr. Xavier Udoma, and of course, he will be telling us, he's sharing his thoughts with us on this development. All right, Mr. Xavier. Okay, yes, Mr. Xavier. Mr. Femi Yarenya has been one of the pillars of this particular administration. Yes. And of course, he mandated quite a sensitive office as initially as the Commissioner for Works, and in the latter end, Chief of Staff to the Governor. What do you think went wrong at some point? What do you think led to his dismissal? Hello, Mr. Doma. Hello, Mr.
Issues
Doma.
surrounding, of course, the imminent sack of the former chief of staff to the governor, or Rufemi Yangeyen, and which most people said they saw it coming, considering what we have read, over time, and the body language that we have witnessed between the former chief of staff and the governor himself. Like I said, it is not altogether very surprising, to most people, because we're in the season of politics, and politicking or politicking have actually, gotten into full swing. And at this point, like I said, there are going to be so much of alignment and realignment, and then the people that the system feels, you know, are not in line with the aspiration of the system will have to be dropped along the way, so that, of course, the completion agenda of the governor can be achieved. But then, beyond the oratrix, we have noticed this for some time now, that the former chief of staff, Ifremi Young, had, in most quarters, had believed that he had already aligned himself with an aspirant who at the end of the day did not have the blessing of the governor. He had already put himself so much, in that movement. And when the governor brought out a different person, it came to him as a shock. And since then, he has not been able to, reinvigorate himself into the new governor's, vision. So because of that, the relationship started to strain. Mind you, this is a relationship that is time tested, long standing. The governor and his former chief of staff, they have been friends for a very long time. But as the season gets in, and with the desire to get things done, with the desire to get the agenda done, so many people just have to be sacrificed.
Well,
So, and if that alignment to that particular aspirant that the governor that did not get the governor's blessing was not enough, the governor, like most people have said, most analysts have said, still kept faith with his former chief of staff. I think the straw that eventually broke the camel's back was his speech, was the speech of the former chief of staff just a few days ago, that went viral on social media, where he was consulting for his senatorial ambition, and he spoke to some of his kinsmen, uh, whom he made so many statements that most people have considered a little bit over the top, for someone who is still a cabinet member in a state government. I mean, he said so many things to clear the air concerning his role in the non-completion of most roads in Ona and Eket, and in fact the senatorial district. And in defending himself, he said he has no business with the contract terms, neither does he give money. That
well,
probably he
okay,
channeled the blame
okay,
to
Mr.
the office of the
Samuel.
governor. or to the
Mr.
to the office
Doma,
of the governor and the
okay,
accountant
let me
general,
pause you there.
saying
You
these
know,
are the
as
people.
part of the letter reads, let me read it out. However, giving urgent need to match skill sets and competence to the task of maintaining the momentum of economic development in peace, your services are no longer needed, no longer required, and it goes on and on and on. These are strong statements. Does this in any way put to question the competence of Engineer Femi Yarayen over the years? Hello.
Skill set, with competency, being part of as part of the letter, read, is a very controversial one. In that, this is someone who has been a core of this government for the past 6, 7 years now, and he has been trusted, or he has been entrusted with very important role, being the commissioner for works to being the chief of staff to the governor. Very important positions that demand, relevant skill set and human management. And but part of the letter read yesterday that the reason, what we should believe is the reason why Mr. Yang was dropped was because he lacked the prerequisite skill set to maneuver through the responsibilities that he has been given. Well, that statement can actually, be a two-edged sword. On one side, it will incriminate the state government, for keeping up with somebody who never had the prerequisite skills, and being entrusted with those sort of sensitive positions. It could be incriminating on the government that oh, you knew this man was not furnished with these skills, and you still went ahead to appoint him and keep him that long and in sensitive positions. you know and then on the other hand, you could also lay credence, and of course maybe relieve the state government of blame in most some of the controversial areas that Ephraim Young handled while he was commissioner for works. And very little we saw of him as chief of staff. We saw most of his top moments when he was commissioner for works. Of recent fresh memory has to be with the the drama that surrounded the payment of compensation to landlords whose properties fell along the developed roads or the roads under construction. And we of particular note, we had incidences in the Tinan where so much rancor, so much counter blames and blames.
Well,
It was not really a hitch-free tenure for the former commissioner for works.
well,
And a section of the people will continue to lay blames on him because they want to compare him to former commissioner for works and how they perform, how they were able to manage the intrigues that comes with demolition, with the payment, and every other thing. And then in Ifeanyi's time, it was very, very chaotic. It was so chaotic. Some people said
well,
they had
let me take
one of
you
the most chaotic
on that. Based on
reigns
what you
as
have
commissioner for
said,
works.
Mr. Doma, based on what you have said, and considering that before now, some people hold the thoughts that this particular administration, Governor EMMANUEL's administration, has some high rate of uncompleted projects. And consider matching with what you have said, how would you reconcile these two extremities? Hello, Mr. Doma, can you hear me? Okay, we lost that, so we'll put a pause to it and go on a short timeout. When we return, we'll see how we can reach back to him. Glad to have you back. Well, apologies we couldn't get back to Mr. Xavier Udoma on that call. But one thing is certain that a lot of people hold the opinion that this particular development will bring a new dynamics to politics in Akwa Ibom State. And of course, like he rightly said, or like he said, that there will be realignment and all of that. And more of that will is what we hope to see in the next future or in the coming days. Well, that being said, there are also some who hold the opinion that there might be a cabinet reshuffling at some point, anytime soon, still relating to this development. Well, that's what we call it a day on Political Spectrum. Today, many thanks for being, staying on, and watching the show. Thank you very much. My name is Otto Basitom. See you tomorrow.